A very good afternoon, everyone. Once again, welcome to uLaw CPD webinar. Topic for today's session is Disbursements Demystified. We're going to be discussing about various things about disbursements, how do you go about spending money on behalf of your clients, and how do you bill it and claim for it, get reimbursed, what are the specific items that can be spent out of trust account, what are some that can be done only from general, and we're also going to be seeing some of the key benefits of spending the money directly from trust versus doing it out of general. And we're also going to be seeing different items such as travel time, mileages, how do you go about billing them, and what is the accurate appropriate accounts to be using supposedly against trust accounts versus, using general, and how do you bill them out? How do you claim for these expenses? How do you transfer the money from trust to the general, like how you would do for the legal fee, but what are some things that you need to keep in mind while billing out? And also the law society expectations when it comes to the billing. So we're going to be seeing all of these completely end-to-end. And this is a 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits. This is available, this title. So you can all make a note of this title for claiming your 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits. And at any point, please use your chat window to ask any questions. If you're having any difficulties hearing me, any audio issues, please do use it and do not hesitate to ask any questions. I will try to answer them as we go, but if I'm not able to, I will certainly look into it towards the end of the session. I will be sharing the attendance link and the topic details once again on the chat window towards end. So please do not leave the session until you're able to provide the attendance. So in case in future, if you would like to verify the attendance, we would be able to do the same. So please do stay with us till the end to claim the credits. Thank you. Now, what is a disbursement? There could be a disbursement, various types of disbursements for different types of area of practices based on your area of practice. Some could be higher in value, some could be lower in value, some could be actually incurred, some could be for a profit reason. So, but before getting into those, just a very basic thing. What is a disbursement? Now, any cost that you have incurred on behalf of your client while servicing in their file or while servicing them during the course, if you incur any payments, any subscriptions, anything that you have paid on behalf of them for the purpose of servicing them, then it is called as a disbursement. And of course, that being paid back or that being charged to them and claimed back from them is known as a disbursement. In layman's term, expenses incurred for your client by your law office is known as a disbursement. Now, you absolutely need to record it in your books. When do you do it? When you actually spend it, you will be recording it as an expense into your books of accounts. Otherwise, it will just be simply recorded as a disbursement. Many of us miss to note down this fact. Disbursement is something that is recoverable, that has to be shown separate as a disbursement and not as a part of a legal fee. Seen in past in a few files where people, for the sake of ease, would club the legal fee with the disbursement. I'll tell you one of the issues there is that it will show your revenue increased, or it will not show the real revenue, if I could put it that way, not show you the real income. Because disbursement is, something that you've already spent for on behalf of your client, and then you're recovering it from them. This is not your actual income. It's not a legal income at all. It's just called as recovery of expense. Now, recording it, it's very important to record it, and recording it as a disbursement is the key, not as part of a legal fee. Now, because you have to maintain proper books, you have to show on the invoice that it is a disbursement and not as a legal fee. Dividing them, or rather differentiating them, the legal fee and disbursement is the key thing here for you to be able to invoice your client appropriately. And also maintain your books. And let's say towards the end of the year, your accountant is looking to file the taxes. And then, you are pulling out the revenue report. And then, we all see it a little shocked because the data that is entered is not appropriate. You would have entered, in a rush, legal fee disbursements altogether, one flat rate, sent an invoice outside. While the revenue will go and sit in as $2,500 or $3,000, while out of which about $500 to $600 would be recovery of expenses. Now, adding as a disbursement and reporting the expense, even more important for you to claim taxes, claim the reports properly, making sure that they are, in fact, they're all aligned with that of your revenue and expenses. Making sure your profit and loss, your other financial statements, they're all in accordance with your, plan, rather, with your money that has come in, that has been spent. So managing these disbursements, first of all, identifying whether you are going to disperse this out of the trust or general is very important. Now, many of us think that, disbursement, I have to do it only out of general. I cannot touch my trust. That's so. Not true. There are some expenses that can be happily spent out of trust, provided you follow some steps. If you have money sitting in trust, if these are billables, they are more like, court fee, filing fee, any fee that is being paid on behalf of your client. And it is an actual amount. There's no markup, there's no fake expense. I can't use the word fake. I could use a word saying for the profit purposes, right? Then you will have to use general. But anything that is not for profit, that's for a real expense that you've incurred on behalf of them for any fee, filing fee, court fee, any other fee or any other expenses that can be made, any payouts from trust, you're paying your client any of those, say refunds, or let's say you're a SABS lawyer and any of these accident benefits that have to be paid back to the client. Those are directly done from trust, right? So very similar to that is these court fee, filing fee, any fee that is not marked up, it be made from trust. A court fee or other kinds of fee are definitely easier to be paid from trust if you have the trust account and the money sitting in there. Because when you paid from trust, the advantage is that you don't have to report the expense. Now, when it comes to disbursement, we talk about two things. Charging the client, which is definitely important. That's the whole point of disbursement, right? Recording it. Then there's something called as reporting an expense. Now, reporting an expense is that you are basically reporting it into your books of accounts, into the program that you're using or into the software that you're using, basically into your books of accounts, saying that you spent this $200 of court filing fee from your general account. Now, general or credit card or cash or your own pocket, whatever method of payment it is. Now, if you are doing it out of trust, there's no need to record any expense. There's no need to report any expense into your books of accounts, because trust is not even your money. It is your client's money. It's sitting in trust. It's a liability. You're just using the trust of that client, that amount, sending it out to cover an expense on behalf of your client. So all that you're going to do is just record it as an expense and as pay out of trust. And then you will raise an invoice so your client will know, okay, you know what, I paid a $1,000 retainer, out of which $800 was the legal fee, flat rate before taxes, so inclusive of taxes then. And 200, which is non-taxable, goes towards the court fee or filing fee or any other fee. Now, if I have dispersed it out of trust because I have money sitting in trust, everything is good, then there's nothing needed to be done for disbursement. Just simply call it as payout of trust. And then that remaining $800 you would have invoiced for, which will be moved from trust to the general. So eventually it becomes yours. It is little 1 or 2 steps lesser to maintain too. So this is one thing. And the next thing that I could say is that now showing it paid out of trust is one other advantage, is that you're not using your money. So your money is not blocked. Your money that is sitting in the general account, or let's say your capital that's sitting in the general account. You're not using it. You're using the trust money, so it's not your money. So after all, you just show an expense out of the trust, pay out of trust, and at the end of the day, it will definitely reduce your bookkeeping requirement. There's no need to fear to record any expense out of trust. I have commonly noticed this with many people that, oh, you know what, Gayatri, I think using trust could be a little tricky because, it involves client's money. It's pretty simple and straightforward as long as you follow these 2 points when it comes to trust. Number 1, you're paying out of your trust for any kind of fee, actual amount. And then that's the second thing. It's an actual amount. It's not a marked up value. So any kind of fee, an actual amount, money sitting in trust, go for it, use it. And then you can always replace it. And you can always show it on the invoice and tell your client that it was used for this. Now, coming to the thing of paying from general, not everybody has a trust account. Not everybody gets a retainer. And not everybody might have to deal with any kind of fee. They might have a printing charge. They might want to show travel and mileage. They might want to show a simple consultancy expense or some third-party expense or prepayment that was made at their end to be shown as a disbursement. There's several other types of disbursement that one may incur. One of the important things which is most commonly seen is like the printing and admin charges, where they would be using their photocopy machine at the office. They won't be incurring any expenses, but recording these with the dates shown as an expense may incur on behalf of your client. And then, you have the date, the amount, the taxes, everything in it. Now, recording these expenses with the information, with the date, and record if the disbursement was paid from bank or credit card or out of your own pocket, and then reimbursing yourself as the last thing that you want to do. But don't miss out on that point. So it's important. So that's about important thing that I can still say is recording the method of payment, matter and the client, and taxes, whether applicable or not. Now, disbursement, when you recover that, what are some things that you need to keep in mind? Recording the expense as on the date, and the amount that you want to invoice could sometimes vary. if you're doing this out of general, of course, and then that markup or markdown value, all of them entered in, and then you raise the invoice. So once you raise the invoice, you get to transfer the money from trust to the general if there is money sitting in the trust, or you ask your client to pay for that. And then if it is paid by you, which is not your firm, let's say your personal money was involved here, then you pay yourself. Let's say you used your personal credit card or used your own pocket, which is called as owner's pocket, cash and other things. Then you use your own account to do that. Uh, Other than that, making sure those dates, the amount, the method of payment, um, all of these are entered in. So ensuring that they're all added with the details. Okay, quickly moving on to the types of disbursements next. Now, there are different types of disbursements, like I already mentioned, based on your area of practice, based on the way you might service, like you might have postage, courier, admin charges, some might fee, filing fee, server fee, and some might have consultancy, third-party consultancy fee, might have, if you're a real estate lawyer, you might come like, say, granite expense. You have registration fee and other, tax and transfer. Prepayment to disbursement comes in at that time because you would have prepaid to your fixed fee, and then you would be dispersing from there. Some could be outstanding. You can't mark it as paid out of bank. You would say outstanding, which is called as accounts payable. And when the bill gets cleared, when it gets actually paid out of your general, that is the time you would be marking it as paid. But until then, you really need to invoice your client because you need to transfer that money to yours. So you would continue to do that. You would continue to invoice and show it's an accounts payable. We'll walk you through an example when I am on uLaw, but ensuring that you follow the expense, like how it was spent, how it got paid, how you are treating it is really important for you to it as an expense into your books of account, it as a disbursement. So we always recommend you to follow your expense. So when you follow your expense, you know how it was actually spent for and how you want to, them into your books of account. The billables, both trust and general can be used. Unit rate, only general. Mileages, again, only general. Travel time, only general. Recovery of expenses on actuals, both trust and general. Recovery of expenses with profit margin, only general. Again, outsource consultancies on actuals. So if you see all the actuals, you can use both trust and general. Because some of them might not have trust, so in that case, you can use general. And some of them might still have trust and not feel comfortable, but that's not true. Like I already mentioned in my previous slides, if you have money sitting in trust, and if your retainer letter is such that you would be using it for both legal fee and disbursement, and the replenishment needs to happen as you progress, then if you have those things clearly said, it's simpler and easier for you to just add them in. from your trust account. So, and then any outsourced consultancies on actuals again, both trust and general can be used. Outsourced consultancy with profit margin, only general. Very simple to understand. Anything involved with profit margin goes from your general account. Recording these disbursements is an art, right? First of all, finding whether it's out of trust or out of general. Then once you know it's out of general or trust, adding all those particulars, date and amount and method of payment and, right, whether taxable, non-taxable. How does this help you? Number one, during audits, these are the data that gets transformed into your ledgers and journals and other reports, disbursements reports as data. Right? Data is captured, and then each of these transactions are shown based on whichever method that you've selected. Each ledger has its own date, running balances, description, particulars, and everything. Okay, so as you all can see, the ledger and the journal, both the trust and the general ledger here with all the details, date, particulars, receipts, and disbursements. Now, moving on to the journals. Journals are a bit more detailed version of ledgers. Like, in journals, you'll have a specific type of activity. Some of them are only receipt type. Some of them are disbursement type. So there'll be two for each of the banks. Like, there'll be two for trust, two for general. Now, there'll be trust money that comes in that is seen when trust receipt journal. And then there'll be similarly for two for the general. Ledger is going to carry both the types of activity, so not have more drill down version of details. So there'll be in journal, there'll be pay details, pay or pay details, the receipt details, the method of the payments, the check numbers, right? The transaction reference numbers, if I could say that way. Right? It is important, for a couple of reasons again. Number one, for you to be able to reconcile your books with your bank statement, because you'll have so many of these expenses. And it's easier to find out when you have recorded with all the details. Now, the other important thing when it comes to disbursement are these disbursement journals and fee book. Now, the general disbursement journal, of course, with all the details from your general account, anything that has been disbursed will show in there. Besides that, you also have a fee book where, your legal fee and any disbursements billed for will also be. Now, with fee book, you're able to identify some of their legal fee and disbursements being billed for with taxes, without taxes again. And these are recorded against each of these clients. So the client information and matter details are also seen. Similarly, we have fee book with invoice numbers. So you can check which invoice was it, and you also have the fees and disbursements associated with whichever matter and the taxes and the amount before and after taxes. So if you go ahead with recording these when you are in the, so it is saying that, you first have to record the date, the amount, this number, which bank, and so understanding whether these are of, made out of trust or general, all of them. Now, when it comes to recording these as part of your legal accounting software, it's easier because you will be able to record the events as and when they happen. Like, you're in the program and you're able to add it under the respective client and the reference numbers and the amount and taxable, non-taxable, all of them added in there. While also the financial records, the bank statements. Finally, it's all about, the compliances and accountability. So there's an ease of use here. Managing these disbursements. Now, getting paid for these expenses that you incurred for the client is important so you can recover them. So you have to add them under the respective matter again, so you can invoice and pay yourself. Now, also that if you do not add these disbursements under the respective client matter and report the expense, there are higher chances that your profit and loss will not be the same. For the ones who are using uLaw, I'm sure that you would be knowing that using disbursements, adding them from your respective matters, because there's disbursement tab available readily there for you to be able to take action and add them as a disbursement paid out of trust or paid out of general or paid out of your let's say it's prepaid. There are multiple ways in which you will be adding them, and definitely it is easier if you follow a method and a way in which you have been recording it than adding it as it is. So I would like to walk you all through some of these important points that we discussed today to be able to achieve and add them into your books. Starting off with, let's say, I'm taking a contact here. You're adding in all the details of your client. Okay. Client's details are added in there. Then you save it. Now, as you start servicing on the file, let's say the very first thing you do is doing a conflict check. While you are doing the conflict check, you also realize you did the intake for this client virtually. So you want to do a virtual verification. So in uLaw, you could end up doing that. Now, why am I saying this is that sometimes you initiate this, and then once you initiate it, you would be then incurring a charge. Let's say $5 or $10. Now, how can you transfer? How do you do this, right? Now, you could first of all open a file for this client. Let's say this client was a divorce file, like, family matter. So let's area of practice. We also have custody. I want to specify a few things about this matter. When you're creating the matter, you do all of those. Hourly rates are fine. The first thing that comes to your mind is that you incurred a virtual verification disbursement. So now when you go into the disbursements, the first thing that comes to your mind should be, how did I spend for this tip? Did I spend using my trust, my general? And if it's general, whichever was the method of payment, that should really come to your mind. Let's say general, let's say the first option to use is pay disbursements from general cash other accounts, the very first one. When you use that, it is super simple and easy for you to be able to add them. Let's say this was a driver's virtual verification, just driver's license. It's $10, you're charging your client $20 plus taxes. You are paying us $10 plus. Now, this is the difference, the top and the bottom portion. The bottom portion is what you have spent for, and the top portion is what you're charging your client. And the difference is called the markup of profit. So obviously, because of this reason, you did not use the trust because it's not the actual amount. Like, you're not charging your client saying, actually spent $20, but you know what? Actually spent only 10. So the remaining 10 is marked up. So for this very purpose, you don't actually use the cost because the markup is in. So now, let's say, for example, this was a tax exempt. Then you make sure to click on tax exempt on the top as well as at the bottom. Now, some people go about charging them taxes because you are eligible to charge taxes, and let's say this one incurred taxes, then you would keep it accordingly. So whatever it is that you have paid for goes at the bottom. Whatever was incurred goes on the top. See this as tax exempt. Down here, paid to. Let's say you paid this to Superfluid Software. Or did you pay from a general account? How? You had to email transfer. Enter these reference numbers. Okay. Now let's say very similarly, you do not know if you'll be charged for this right away. You're going to be showing it as accounts payable and choose the vendor. In this case, it has to be Superfluid Software. You have to create the vendor. And then you can add it accordingly. So let's say I just leave it at email transfer for now and say goes in as a disbursement. Similarly, let's say I'm adding in from trust, so for which I should first be having a retainer. Let's say I have a retainer of 500 in my trust, making sure I have all the details entered in, date, the amount, the reference numbers, who it was paid for. I have also generated a receipt to give them. And you can go back into add a new disbursement paid from trust. Say you have one was maybe an electronic fund transfer. description. Be filing fee or court fee or something. Payments. You can also disperse a check right from there. And go back in there. Let's say there is another type of disbursement which is in the general. Okay, over here we have mileages, travel, maybe client office visit. Let's say you had to travel 20 kilometers. Then we have a cost per kilometer. Let's say you're making it that way. Did you spend any of it? No, because let's say you used your own um, car and you already had recorded gas as an office expense. So you do not have, any specific here. Okay, so you leave the bottom portion empty, so you don't worry about who it was paid to, nothing, because you didn't actually pay anything. You're only charging your client as a mileage. Now, let's say you also had a photocopy that you wanted to charge for. You could do it very similarly from here. Any of the options can be used. Okay, so in this case, we're using a unit rate. Say you had about 30 pages or 70 pages, whatever, and $1. So you want to charge them accordingly. In this case, let's say if you used UPS or library, then you would record how much ever you paid for, right? Let's say you paid half of it or something. And then let's say you paid it to UPS. Did you pay for, let's say, credit card, choose specific card and all of those with reference. The idea behind adding them from different sectors is to show you when you create a disbursement or a journal. Okay, now let's go ahead and raise an invoice for the work that was done. Now I think we did still add. So let's go and add in maybe legal fee consultation, just a consultation or something. And then we're going to add it flat rate. Let's say 150 plus taxes. Okay. So now like finalize, complete, little confident here, so just getting the preview. Download, so it'll allow you to send it to your client. Okay, so we have the details here. I want to show you all how the disbursement looks, the specific details of amount, the rate, total, the tax. Okay, so we also have, go back in there, show you all how we can play ourselves, transfer the funds. Because I've already paid 200 out of trust, so I have 300 pending, out of which 279.90 belongs to me. So I'm going to transfer that in the real bank and then transfer it in uLaw with the reference numbers, download a Form 90, go back in there, refund the remaining. So the best part that uLaw does is that you want to withdraw from trust. It's not a disbursement, but it's a payout of trust. So it's considered as a disbursement. You're dispersing to your client. It's not trust again, I'm telling you. I mean, it's not a disbursement again, but it's a payout of trust. There's a difference. Now, many times people think refunding is also a disbursement because you're dispersing it out of trust. No, it's a payout of trust. There's a small difference. You disperse the remaining. Say you gave them a check. I'm just showing you an end-to-end cycle for a matter. So when we draw these ledgers and journals, I want to show you how it looks with the balance gone out. You can also print a check from this program that will allow you to keep your disbursements intact, more clear and precise, and there's no way you could make a mistake with a pre-printed disbursement check. Okay, so there. Now going back into accounts to show you all how the compliance statements look with all the details that was entered in. So let's start off with the general disbursement journal. And I just worked on this particular matter today, so I want to show you all how it looks if I load it. So the general, there were only a couple of expenses that was made. The email transfer, the virtual verification, and the other one was photocopies. I used my credit card. Again, the reference numbers, date, its taxes, everything included in there. Go back in there, just show you all how the client trust payments look. The payments, which is in this case $200, I spent out of trust. And, the transfer that was made out of trust shows up here with the details of, look at the details, the level of details. You get the method of payment, who was paid to, what was the matter file number, and what was this description of the disbursement, whether it was a trust transfer, whether it was a refund trust payout, or whether it was a direct payout of trust. In this case, there was a $200 that was directly paid out of trust. All of them. Okay. Show you all how my fee book looks now. Showing you the legal fee and also the disbursements. We have the legal fee entered in here as HST, and the disbursements that was made out of general in here. So overall was 279.90. That was including the legal fee. Lastly, to show you all how the client's trust looks, actually with the payment that was made from trust to be general and the payout of trust. Has the retainer that comes in, and then immediately 200 was spent as payout of trust, and then there's 300 remaining, out of which the trust transfer and the legal fee took place. With all the details, So this is what we have when it comes to disbursements in uLaw, and also helping you streamline your legal counting with your legal fee as well as disbursements being recovered, and most importantly accounted for under respective accounts, books of accounts, whether it's trust or general or your own pocket, accounting for it and paying back yourself without missing to recover from your clients, and without, most importantly, charging it all as a legal fee instead of differentiating between both, legal fee and disbursements. I think these small tips that I shared today will help you to add them appropriately and keep your books intact and aligned with that of your bank and any other method of payments, and ensuring that from time to time you're able to reconcile your books and recover your expenses being spent on behalf of your clients. For the ones who do not do practice these things, please consider this as a very important step, not only for law society purposes, not only for your clients to know what was spent as legal fee disbursements, but also for very own accounting purposes to know the actual profits and profit or loss, and also the accounting items that gets into your books of accounts and financial statements. So any questions? I would love to pause here for a moment before I start sharing the attendance link and the topic information. Any questions? Please start using the chat window. I'll be more than happy to walk you all through it. And that's pretty much it. Disbursements Demystified was the topic name. It's entitled to 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits across Ontario, Alberta, BC, and New Brunswick. So for the ones here today, or maybe if you're a new first time, thank you for joining us. And if you are a uLaw user and showing your support here every other week, thank you so much for joining us today as well. And, if you are a uLaw user and you'd like to refer your friend, please use refer a friend. If you're not a uLaw user, you have a 15-day trial in there. It's on our Instagram, the social media platform, to get more tips, videos, more useful information. Like I said, I'll be here for another 5 minutes. Any questions? Please feel free to add it here. Thank you. If no questions, I will take it as it was a very straightforward webinar. But for the points that I had highlighted and shared with you all today to ensure a smooth accounting system, please do follow it and let us know, give your feedback, let us know if you have any questions. We'd be happy to, answer them. But thank you so much. Really appreciate your feedback. If you have any other suggestions for any topics or anything that you would like uLaw to present, it doesn't have to be a CPD. We do have a new CPD, guys, that we have not shared yet. We will soon be sharing the information, and we are looking to probably do an in-person seminar for the ones in GTA, especially. We will talk about that in the next CPD. I will wait here for more questions, but in the meantime, I'll switch off the recording. This recording will be available on our YouTube platform as early as Monday. And for the ones who need the link, do let us know, and I'll be sharing the YouTube link as well in the chat window. Thank you, and have a wonderful weekend.